The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And away we grow. It's that time, garden friends. It's time to cultivate our garden love and garden knowledge. Another episode of the Green Acres Garden Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love having you here, especially you, Grandma. Love you. Back in studio with Austin Blank, the editor extraordinaire. What's up, Austin?
Hello, buddy, and hello to all of our listeners. We're back at it again.
Oh, yeah.
It's not only the best time of the week because we're talking gardening,
Best
but
time of the
year.
You know it.
It's the best time of the year because I'm out in the garden all the time now,
It's pretty
and
sweet.
I know you must be too.
The weather's been fantastic. At the school garden, we've been hustling
Yeah?
and bustling. Yeah.
What'd you get done?
We're still pulling out cool season crops. Now we got about a third of our warm season crops in. We've got some sweet peppers, some hot everything from a bell pepper in between all the way up to a ghost.
So you start all that stuff that's slower, peppers and tomatoes. You focus on getting that in first.
Once we had a couple really, really good warm days there a week or two ago, we were off and running, and we tried to get them in before spring break. But we got a few tomatoes in, a ton of flowers. I've been planting flowers both from start and by seed like wild. I think this year is going to be the year of the blossom in our school garden.
I kind of did the same thing.
I love
Everyone's talking flowers around me, and I went for it. So my garden plot at the community garden, it's completely bordered with marigolds.
Dude, same
And then,
in a way. Yeah.
And then I went in, and then with seed, I dropped like white marigold seed in between to see if anything happens there. And then I did it's lined with these like paver, concrete things, and in the middle there's like space you could plant. So I threw in like sunflower seed and zinnias and some other stuff, and I'm like just hoping it looks awesome later. I have no idea. But I think it's cool to like get those flowers going.
Love it. Yeah, same. Where we planted a lot of snapdragons, zinnias.
Snapdragon. Okay, I haven't
got
done
the
that.
alyssum going. We a month or two ago before we planted the pansies, and they're still ripping right now, and they're loving this weather right now. So I'm excited. I think I'm going to devote a few rows just to cut flowers. But for me, tomatoes, peppers, I'm looking forward to having some cucumbers climb, as well as some melons up some trellises. So it's all hands on deck. It's been a great season. But for our listeners, it's not too late. A lot of our garden isn't even planted at the school. So even us, we're not done yet. So this is the sweet spot. I think you called it the pocket as we were preparing.
Pocket, yeah.
We were right in the pocket, baby.
Because it's not too early and it's not too late to be planting. This is the pocket.
Perfect time. And so just get out there and garden if you can. But this is going to be a great episode. If you are a little frustrated by either the prices of the food you have to buy or the quality of it, this is the episode for you. If you are maybe new to gardening, or if you garden a while and you're looking to try something kind of unique and different, if you have limited space, this is the episode for you.
That's the one. I mean, that's a huge part of it right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're hinting at the
Yes.
topic,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm sure
Okay.
everyone knows because they clicked on it. But we're talking square foot gardening this week.
Yeah.
And this is a topic we've touched on here and there. It's a really cool method. And we went and talked to the master of this, Dave Fierro, and we went to his demonstration garden where he has examples of square foot gardening, and we even recorded a video when we were out there. So make sure you check that out. I'll put that in the episode description too. But Kevin, you'd been there before, right? Out at that garden.
That was my first time. It was golden.
Oh, I thought maybe you'd been there.
I wish.
It's the Auburn Golden Gardeners. What a cool place.
Tons of great examples of drip irrigation, all the different beds. Everyone kind of does something unique and different. You saw some micro sprays. You saw some inline little shrublers and bubblers and inline drippers. Pretty cool. I love kind of looking at different beds to see what people are kind of doing. And it was super cool. Dave, he is so genuine, so smart. when it comes to gardeners, he's aces. He's a bit of a tomato tomcat, if I had to give him a good garden nickname.
That's a good one.
Because he loves tomatoes. He like genuinely is so passionate about it. And what's cool about him, and I don't think in the interview we even got to let him toot his horn too much. He does so much for the community to help other people learn about gardening. He grows thousands of tomato seedlings to be distributed in his community to people that he knows. It's just he does so much.
He grows, and then he donates a lot of his produce to, I think, a food bank.
Yeah.
And then he also, if you're interested in getting some tomato starts and stuff, he does a lot of vegetable starts that he sells. I actually bought some from him.
Did you now?
Yeah. I already have a lot of things in the ground already, but my second wave of like tomatoes is going to be what he provides, and he's got me some cool things. He's like, oh, let me show you this one. He ordered this one, but actually this one would be really cool. I thought that was so nice of him. He's like looking out for me, and he just wants me.
A connoisseur of sorts.
Yeah, he knows his stuff, and he wants me to be successful. And that's why he does this stuff. That's why he's helping us out. He wants to show us the way of square foot gardening, which I think is great.
Well, what's really cool is we've been to his house. He has an expansive, beautiful garden, super large and lush. But I think what's interesting with the square foot gardening technique is you can do it on a larger scale, but it's really beneficial, I think, to people who maybe have limited space, a limited budget. If you just have a little portion of your yard, a patio, it's got you got 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. You've got an option to have a beautiful, thriving, lush garden with a really small footprint. So I think with these methods, with the philosophy and the concepts and the practices that he'll go over, it makes it really simple. And so, like I said, whether you're new to it or you're a seasoned gardener and you're trying something a little different, this might be the episode for you.
Yeah, I think so. And it's really cool to hear Dave say, like, with this method, you're going to be successful. You can't say that about a lot of things in gardening. But he does say that about square foot. So that is exciting. And I hope a lot of people give this a shot, and we'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and learn about the method from the man himself. Let's go ahead and jump into our interview with Dave Fierro. We met up with him at the Auburn Golden Gardeners Community Garden in Auburn. Let's check it out. Here we go.
Welcome, Kevin, to our garden.
I love it. It's beautiful here. So can you tell our listeners kind of where we're at right now? Because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, we're at the Auburn Golden Gardeners. It's a senior community garden here up in Auburn in the DeWitt Center. It's a county land, but the gardens and the community garden's been here since, I think, 1985. So it's been around for quite a long time. We have 40-some members or so. As into the club, and we have most of those do garden here. We have beds. Some people just join because they just like to be part of the community, and it's a special place. It's a special garden.
I can see that, and we're here at a special time. It's springtime.
Oh yeah.
I'm here to pick your brain. Quickly, can you introduce yourself to our listeners a little bit? For those who don't know you, we've had you on in the past. You've been amazing. We love you. I love learning from you, but can you refresh our memory a little bit?
Yeah, so Dave Fierro, and I do a lot of gardening. And
I've been to your house, that's true.
I may be known for my crazy tomato garden that I have, and a lot of other veg at my home garden. But I'm also passionate about square foot gardening, and have been since the early 80s. When I first found Mel Bartholomew's book on square foot gardening, and it was a game changer for me, going from row gardening that my family, Italian family, grandparents, parents, etc., that's the way they garden.
Just very traditional, linear rows.
Yeah, and what I saw, what really hooked me was this very productive, very intensive way of planting and growing your vegetables and thinking about your garden bed in a different format.
Well, great, because that's what we have you here today. I'm hoping I can pick your brain a bit about square foot gardening. I know we touched on it a bit in the past, but I think it's a perfect time to bring it up. Springtime, I think people are tired of very expensive prices on their plants and food and produce, all the fruits and vegetables right now. I don't know if you've gone to the grocery store. It's expensive, right? And it all adds up. And I think just the quality of your own, having your own fresh fruit. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've heard you talk about tomatoes. Like it's just like, I know it's your passion. And you don't eat, you don't really spend too much money on tomatoes, do you?
No, and I only eat tomatoes in season. I don't eat them out of season. And to be honest with you, that's kind of the way to eat all vegetables. And you eat them in season. And if you grow them and eat them in season of your growing. And it allows you an opportunity to not only have good tasting and nutritious food, but actually have cost-effective food that it really starts to add up your savings by growing your own veg. So I would highly recommend to focus on growing some things that are special to you, taste good, that may also cost more at the store. By focusing in that area, you're going to feel more successful in your gardening than you might otherwise be.
Yeah, grow what you eat, grow what you like.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. What is a typical square foot garden? What is the size? Are there limitations? And where do we even begin if someone wants to start from scratch who's listening?
Well, I always tell people to start small, okay, and be successful. Start small, be successful, expand from there. And then as you go, you'll continue to be successful that way. And so, but you don't have to have a lot of space, because if you're row gardening, you're wasting a lot of space between the plants, and that you could be growing things in.
More plants
in those squares. You see that just even on today's looking at seed packets, where they'll tell you to plant, some plant like lettuce 6 inches apart, but then have rows 12 to 14, 16 inches apart. Why? Just plant them 6 inches apart every direction. You're going to be more intensive, and that's what you're doing with square foot gardening. You're growing intensively in those squares and not wasting space.
Yeah, and that limitation is really the reach of your arm. It's like, how far can you reach into the depth of that bed?
Yeah.
So where do we start? If someone has a blank slate, and they go, hey, I got a sun, I got plenty of sunshine in my backyard. I do have an open space of dirt. It's not big, but where would they start? What's the first thing we do?
So you want something that could hold your soil. So there's a lot of different things
to raise
it up, and you're.
Well, you don't think my soil's perfect?
No, that's but see, that's an important part of this, because when people start out, their soil is one of the most important things that you can have for your plant to grow. And one of the questions I get all the time is, my plant's not growing, why? And I ask them about the soil, and you don't have a quantitative answer that you can fix the problem. But that's where square foot gardening, if you start with Mel's Mix, which is a very defined soil recipe of 1/3 compost, 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 vermiculite, you know how it's going to grow, and the plant has everything it needs to grow. And then you're going to be successful, and you could expand from there. And that's the most important thing. You need to be successful your very first year. People quit if they're not successful their very first year. And I want people to be successful gardening.
Absolutely. So it starts with the soil?
Starts with soil.
So say it again, 1/3 vermiculite, 1/3 peat moss?
1/3 peat moss and 1/3 compost. The compost is is the nutrition. It's the fertilizer. You could think of it that way.
That's the
for
fuel.
the plant. It's the fuel. It's where the microbes break it down to provide the nutrition to the plant. The peat moss holds moisture, holds structure for the soil. Vermiculite also holds moisture, but it also holds nutrition. It has an ability to lock onto those nitrogen, phosphate, potassium molecules and make them accessible to the plant later for growing. So that combination makes for a good starting soil. By the way, you don't need a lot of depth. All the vegetables, other than something like carrots or potatoes, can grow very successfully in 6 inches of soil. So like I could take a piece of concrete. So you don't have to have soil somewhere. You could have your concrete, put 6-inch small little raised bed on it or a grow pot or something like that. Put that soil in there and grow your veg. You don't need more than 6 inches and you'll be successful.
What, just staple some landscape fabric to the bottom or whatever to keep that soil in, or what?
No, it won't come out of your wood bed. It won't.
Okay.
It'll be okay.
That's cool.
It stays there. Yeah.
Well, it's great because you see a lot of garden beds now, and they're beautiful. They're like 3 feet deep. They're really accessible, I think,
Yeah.
for people. But it's nice to know that if you don't want to have that great upfront cost of having a lot of soil, 6 inches deep to get your garden started, that's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah. So you get those tall beds. I totally understand why you might want to have raised beds because it helps your back, accessibility, etc. But you don't need it for the plant. So guess what? 6, 8, 10 inches or so at the top, put your good soil, your good Mel's mix on top of, it doesn't matter what you have below. It could be, bad soil that you have from your property. Fill your bed up to that area, put your good soil on top and grow and plant. Don't mix them up. Don't mix that good with the bad. Just grow from the top. Whenever you harvest a plant and you replace it or you're going to plant something new in that square, put compost in as a replacement. Now you've added more new compost. That's your nutrition for that new plant that you're going to put in that spot. So you're adding on top, you're not mixing into that soil.
Now that we've got our soil figured out, what is the actual philosophy behind square foot gardening? Because you've mentioned a little bit how we kind of get our mindset out of the linear rows. You're kind of thinking a little bit more three-dimensionally. You're able to pack multiple unique crops together that normally maybe wouldn't be paired together in a small space. So where do we start when it comes to planting, and what do those relationships look like from these plants?
I would recommend people go and get a copy of the Square Foot Gardening book.
New edition's out?
The new edition, 4th edition's out, and they got over 3 million sold. It's a very popular book. But if you go back into the book, there are planting plans. Like, if I want to plant radishes, how many radishes can I put in a square? Or carrots, or, broccoli, or things like that.
Like how much can I fit into a square foot?
In a square foot. And you got that plan, then you can figure that out.
What are some good examples? So tomato obviously is pretty big. So one tomato per one square.
And only if you trellis it. If you're going to put a tomato cage and you do a determinate tomato, you're going to take up 4 squares.
Okay.
So that's that's going to take up a lot of space. You better like those tomatoes because now you've used 4 times the amount of space.
And that's fair.
Right? That's fair.
Because you're still going to hopefully pack in some other goodies around it.
Right. And so if you're going to use like bush beans, you could do maybe 9 to 16, typically 9 per square, 3, 3, 3. So you put 9
planting them really
9 bush
really
bean plants.
tight
Believe
together.
it or not, they like to live together. And that's a good thing. Lettuce, if you want to do a head lettuce, you could do 4 per square, 1 in each corner. So you're planting those lettuce and you got 4 per square. Now you harvest the lettuce, now you freed up space. So you could put something in that maybe you want to put radishes in a part of that square.
Oh, they go so fast.
You can take a square and now subdivide it into sub-squares, right? And plant some radishes with the lettuce that you still have left. Then as you pick more lettuce, now you add more radish.
Because the purpose is just to grow food. Grow as much food as you can with the space and time you have.
And what's great about square foot gardening, you're focusing on that square. If it was a row, you're hard pressed to consider how do I lay out that row of vegetables and be able to add things as I take them away. Your watering is different. It's not as conducive to that intensive plant growing methodology.
What are some typical plant combinations that you find yourself going to when you do your own square foot garden at home?
One thing I try to watch out for is that some plants will want to take up more space than they're allowed. So I try to arrange things so that if it's something that's going to take up more space, maybe I'll put it on the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
Like I'll put like summer squash that can get too aggressive,
Oh, yeah.
right? So I'll hang it over the side of the bed. I'll grow it on the edge and let it hang out, right? And that way I'm cheating a little bit, but
It's got like 1 foot in the lake and 1 foot on the beach kind of thing.
you know, and it's going over. So you can look at your plants that way, and I do look at them and if I got something a little more vertical, I'll tend to grow it more in the middle of the bed. Like I'll put a pepper or a eggplant or something like that more in the center.
That way it's not blocking something shorter.
Right, and then I'll put smaller things up around the edges. I'll put that, or things that I'm rotating in and out that is going to come and go, and I'm leaving that longer term plant like that pepper that's most of the summer season is in there, right? But maybe I'll start some, maybe initially in the spring, I'll have some lettuces there, but my peppers are started, they're in there, but then I'm harvesting the lettuce, then later I'm gonna add some other things, maybe some Swiss chard or something that is going to be able to take the summer and then grow. It's a biennial. It'll grow through the fall and into the winter. So you can start to get really creative on all this.
I feel like it would really get you pumped up on seed starting at home and having your own little mini little area at home. So that, like you said, you pluck a plant out, you harvest, you eat one. Now you've got some space. Open up. Oh, guess what? I got a 6-pack. On the side of the house, ready to rock of seedlings.
Or go to the seed case, you know, at the nursery, and look at the seeds that are available, and go, well, what can I plant there right now?
Yeah.
How about, you know, take bush beans for instance. You can do multiple crops of bush beans through the summer.
Successive planting.
Successive planting. So you do some to start in one square, and then as you're harvesting some of these other squares, go start another set of bush beans.
2 weeks later, you get your other square going.
Right. Go, and now you're constantly going, and now you're much more productive, much more saving seed, because you buy that one seed packet of bush beans. Well, now you're using it for multiple times for the year.
Until
you're
it's
not
all
throwing
gone.
it away.
Yeah,
you're not throwing it away.
That is cool. So Dave, the system is basically, it breaks it down by geometric grids, right, of square feet. And I noticed that you have a really interesting way of maintaining a visual representation of that, so that way you don't get off course. Can you tell us a little bit about your bamboo setup? Do you recommend that for everybody? And how is that helpful?
In terms of the grid pattern and how you make your grid, you can make your grid out of anything. These beds over here are using bamboo, which is inexpensive and easy to get to, or you can use sticks, or you can use, I even have rebar in some that is indestructible and lasts forever, right? But you put that grid together, and that grid is your, it's your plan. And you could be so, like an engineer like myself, you can go draw it on a piece of paper and draw out your plan and keep your veggie plan going, you know, based on your, you know, your engineering, you know, architecture. But you have to have a grid. It's to really have an understanding of how you're going to plant and keep the focus. You've got to keep the squares in front of your nose all the time.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, another great day with you out in the garden. I loved it. We got to film a little bit, some videos, do the pod. Man, thank you so much. And hopefully we get to see you again and talk more gardening. Are you excited for this year?
I'm very much so. I'm ready to go plant a bunch of tomatoes myself.
How's your garden looking right now? Is it ready to be planted?
No.
Well, then we definitely got to end this.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I got a lot of work out there to do.
Me too. Same.
But this is the time. I do have some in the ground.
Good.
But I have a lot more to go.
There we go. Well, hey, congrats.
Nice. Thank you,
And
guys.
here's to a great season. And thank you so much again for making time.
It's always fun.
All right, we are back from our interview with Dave. Big thank you to Dave. Now, okay, so Kevin, are you convinced? Is Square Foot awesome?
I love it. I think gardening in general is awesome, and if you have to break it down in the square foot, go for it.
Sure,
absolutely.
I like how it looks.
It looks really cool.
It looks cool.
I think the benefits are many. So like, For one, no machinery needed, no heavy tools in this style of gardening. It's great for patios, small spaces. It's great for people with zero experience. So if you have absolutely no experience gardening or very little, or you've struggled one season before and you were like, I gave up, it didn't work out for me. Try it again. Use some of these concepts. Use this method. Use the soil mix. I think it's a great starting point, and I think anybody who does it is probably going to be on the right trajectory for some success. And I really like, when we were talking about it, it made me think all that condensed kind of intensive planting, it really has some benefits. For one, you're going to get a lot of different things to eat, so your diet's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Hopefully a nice big harvest, but a little less weeding. When you have kind of crowded plants and there's just less light hitting the dirt, you have all these peppers and beans and squash and tomatoes, and things are just kind of, the flowers, they're all sharing space a little bit. I think even in our normal gardens, we notice this sometimes has a really good effect. So the overplanting, the crowding of the plants, maybe they don't get quite as big as they would if they had 100% of the space they maybe needed, but they're still going to provide a pretty good harvest. And now it all kind of works, I'm going to use a buzzword on, synergistically.
Ooh.
They all kind of work together, in harmony, and you keep, and that season ends, and guess what? You add more compost and you repeat the cycle.
And you're just ready to go
and
again.
you've learned from that season. You're going to do it even
That's
better the
so
next
cool.
season.
I crunched some numbers on this too. I was curious about the cost of investment.
Look at you.
And the cost of the crops, the all the materials needed, even the irrigation supplies. And I was kind of blown away. What I was able to determine was, and you take this with a grain of salt, this was my numbers, but I was pretty conservative with everything. It looked like after the first year, your first harvest is going to pay for all of the investment of all the crops.
You'll
right?
break even potentially.
You'll break even on the food part of it. The
I
plants.
would love to do this experiment.
Right?
That'd be so much fun.
And then the second year, you pay for more of the materials and everything else. And after the third year, or the third season of harvesting, the third time you do it, you've basically broken even on everything, and now you're just basically profiting every time you put more plants in.
Yeah,
So,
compost and seeds.
I mean, yeah, it's minimal cost to keep it going, and then you've paid for all of the investment there at that point. So I think it's worth it. After 3 times, it makes sense by the dollars. So, I mean, but also you get to have fun gardening and you have all this delicious food you get to eat. I mean, that's what it's really about. But Dave's kind of that engineer mind, and it made me want to do all that stuff too. So I crunched it, and I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. This is cool.
Especially considering some crops that we buy, some produce per pound can get quite expensive
It's a
pretty
lot,
quickly.
especially if you're buying organic and you're buying nice heirloom
I was just
tomatoes.
there. Red bell peppers are $2 a piece, give or take.
It's crazy.
The green bell peppers are $1 or more. So
And
it
they
adds
don't
up pretty
taste as
fast.
good.
Yes, I love a fresh bell pepper. With my students, we'll go out there and just grab them and we'll eat them, and they're so crunchy. It's like when you're a kid eating Frosted Flakes, and you're your brother or whoever you're talking to, you can't even hear what they're saying because you're. And the bell peppers will crunch like that,
I
and
love
so
that.
they're all the benefits. For me, is really just having access to delicious, fresh food. You can crunch the numbers either way, but it's hard to put a number on that. I was just out in my
Sure.
front garden, and I have a lime tree I planted out there last year.
Okay.
And I haven't really even had a lime yet. And now this spring, and it's only it's 4 feet tall. I'm keeping it nice and short. Literally dozens and dozens and dozens, maybe 100 or more blossoms on there for these
Cool.
limes. And I'm just like, I cannot wait. How do you put a price tag on walking out and
Sure.
just plucking off a fresh, juicy lime, bringing them in, using them in the kitchen? I just love it. So square foot gardening, I think it's empowering people to use whatever space they have. So let's do a recap. If you have a portion of your garden or your yard that gets 6 to 8 hours or more of sun, you can build a box or use containers. You can fill those with the soil, a good raised mix, or in this case, Mel's mix, the 1/3 coarse vermiculite, the 1/3 peat moss, the 1/3 organic compost. And if you don't have the peat moss, guess what? Just go more compost. You can you can get creative. Some people are, utilizing coconut coir, using more compost, but that's the basic mix. And the same thing that we talk about each and every week: feed the soil, let the soil feed the plants, and you will typically be successful. So that's it.
Love that. And there's a lot of resources online if you're just want to dive deeper into the subject and see more examples. First off, we did a video with Dave out at his demonstration garden, and you can take a look at that. But also in the episode description, I'll include a link to the Square Foot Gardening website. There's an association that does this, founded by Mel Bartholomew. He wrote the book on it. The 4th edition actually just came out, and one of our recent guests, Kevin Espiritu,
I'll say friend of the podcast.
Yes, there we go. He wrote the foreword for the latest edition of the Square Foot Gardening book, which recently came out. So that's really cool.
And in it, actually, he mentions how Square Foot Gardening helped him get his start in all of the YouTube fame, the epic gardening, this incredible journey that he's been on. It kind of started with his relationship with Mel Bartholomew, and getting dipping his toe into that world.
And he did the same thing in his interview with us.
Yes, he did.
You know, he's got love for Mel and the Square Foot
Great
method.
stories. I love it.
So lots to check out here. But that's all for this week. I hope you guys are inspired. I hope you get out in that garden. It's the pocket time. It's the time to be doing it. So get out there. And share your stories with us in our Facebook group. That's a great way for you to contact me and Kevin if you have questions. Our podcast team would love to help you out. Or if you just want to share and show us what you're doing, we love that.
I love it. I don't want to be the only one sharing photos.
No,
for sure.
You're not. And there's people in there that are. Cool. It's so cool to see it. I love it every time somebody posts in there.
It fires me up when I see other people post. I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful garden.
I got one more thing. If you've been listening to the show and you have not rated us or reviewed us on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, try giving that a shot. That really helps our show out, and it helps the algorithms share our show with other people who haven't heard it. So, give us an honest review, something short and sweet. Just give us a couple stars if you want, but do that. It really helps the show out. And that's all for this week. Kevin, go ahead and take us out.
Well, another wonderful week. I love it. Like you said, we were right in that pocket, buddy. So if you haven't planted yet, don't worry. Right now is the perfect time to plant flowers, veggies, whatnot, trees, shrubs, and beyond. Now is a great time to grow. So get out in that garden, get some dirt underneath those nails, be great to yourself and others, and come back next week for more garden adventures, friends. Until next time, happy gardening to you all, and please never stop growing. Foot by foot.
Woo!
Square foot.
Square foot style.